time to English New Edition for tonight. Headlines we have the third public sitting of the second ordinary session of the year 2022. For the international scene, a conference to try to defuse the crisis in the Middle East in Jordan. Welcome to our newsroom. The National Assembly, in accordance with the Article 22 of the Rules of Procedures, held this Wednesday, December 21, the third public meeting of the second ordinary session of the year 2022, chaired by His Excellency Mohammed Ali Mohammed, the President of the National Assembly, and with the participation of the Prime Minister, His Excellency Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, a parliamentarian and member of the government. The plenary session had as its agenda the following draft texts: bill on the ratification of the concessional financing agreement for the project on risk reduction, inclusion, and enhancement of pastoral economies in the Horn of Africa; bill on the ratification of the grant financing agreement and the concessional loan financing agreement for the Djibouti Health System Strengthening Project; bill on the creation of the National Agency for the Promotion of Culture; a bill on the adoption of the National Child Policy 2022-2032, draft law on the revision of law on the reorganization of and functioning of the Ministry of Commerce and Tourism. The different topics discussed during the examinations and the above-mentioned texts were numerous and varied. The interventions and constructive exchanges brought together the Member of Parliament and the Ministers. Video interactions, a dialogue on subjects such as public health and sanitation, on climate change and the challenges posed by the environment and the issue of global warming, measures of cultural preference and artistic works as intellectual, or the prerogatives, mission, and actions of the Ministry of Trade has punctuated the course of this third public sitting before being closed by the vote and adoption with the amendment of the text on its agenda. Speaking on behalf of the Minister of Agriculture, the Member of Parliament, Umma Mohammed Hamid, said we have voted for this money to subsidize the programs of farmers and to invest in farmers' cooperative, a vision that after 5 years our country will be able to cover the gap on the sides of the grass closed, and the Member of Parliament the Member of Parliament has raised questions about the reforms of government agencies. He said that to the Minister, we want to be transparent in order to do our works and tell us how the combined offices will work to combine some offices. Dear Ministers, this plan is related to the government's national policy for the next 10 years that focuses on the care of children's rights. My question is to the Minister, can you tell us the best way to scare the children who are suffering from suffocations and others who are suffering while they are under the stomach ache, said the Member of Parliament, Ibrahim Ahmed Abdou. For his part, the Minister of Agriculture, Mohammed Ahmed Awale, who responded to the questions about the closures of the agricultural sector, said that it is important for our society to adapt to climate change. Many weather-related shutdown programs are underway. Many lessons. The Minister of Youth and Culture, Hibo Momin Asowe, who spoke and said that the work done on the House of Culture and Entertainment is the same. In fact, reconstruction, reorientation, and modernizations have been done. And the aim is to make the House of Entertainment to be open to the public where artists and creative people can present their art. Mr. Ibrahim Abdou is right that we will share the news with the community and inform the community. Under the chairmanship of His Excellency Mohammed Ali Mohammed, President of the National Assembly, and in accordance with the Article 21, Paragraph 1 and 2 of the Rules of Procedures, the Conference of Presidents of the National Assembly was held this Wednesday, December 21, 2022, to set out the agenda and date of the next plenary sessions. During this meeting, the government was represented by the Prime Minister, His Excellency Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, and the Minister of Defense in charge of relation with Parliament, Hassan Omar Mohammed. The meeting was also attended by members of the Bureau of the Assembly, committee chairpersons, and the general rapporteurs from the budget. The Conference of Presidents first dealt with the transmissions to the various committees of the bills on the agenda, namely the bill on strategic orientations for the structuring of the informal sectors in the Republic of Djibouti, the bill on the ratification of the agreement establishing the Smart Africa Alliance by the Republic of Djibouti, bill on the finalist settlement of the state budget for fiscal year 2021, bill on the approval of the 2020 financial account of the National Agency for State Information System, bill approving the 2021 financial account of the National Agency for State Information Systems, bill on the initial state budget for fiscal year 2023, bill on the approval of the financial account of the International Society of Hydrocarbon for the fiscal year 2021. The Conference of Presidents following the end of the year period and the leisure time between now and the 31st of the month has set Wednesday, December 28, 2022 as the date of the first public sessions during which the draft law of settlement 2021 of the state budget and the draft law of the initial state finances for the 2023 will be submitted to the vote of the national representation. Under the leadership of the Ministry of Energy in charge of Natural Resources, Yonis Ali Gedi, the NOC company officially inaugurated this morning the renewal of Ali Amarkak Logical Services stations located in Riyadh. This inauguration ceremony was attended by the Minister of Decentralization, Qasim Harun Ali, the Prefect of the City of Djibouti, the Director of the company NOC, and the Director of the International Company of Hydrocarbons of Djibouti, the President of the Commune of Pulaus, officials of the Ministry of Energy, families of Ali Amargag, and traders placed. The NOC company has set as its objectives the renovations and the modernizations of its service stations, which will remain its priority. The renovations of these services stations is part of the investment objectives that NOC Djibouti has set to modernize the services station by offering customers modern systems of distribution and management of fuel. For his part, the Director of Hydrocarbon, Wahib Ali Bullo, said that the NOC company has set as its objectives the renovation and modernization of its service station, which will remain its priority. The renovations of the service stations is part of the investment objectives that NOC Djibouti has set to modernize the service stations. The oil company of United Capital Investment Group, USIC, Djibouti organized this morning a ceremony of inaugurations of new service stations in Balbala. The ceremony was presided over by the General Manager of the UCIG in Djibouti, Dr. Thomas Bebe. UCIG Djibouti is a petroleum company operating in the Republic of Djibouti with the with an overall mission is to promote its product while successfully providing a prompt and reliable quality services. It ensures the maintenance of competitiveness in the Djiboutian oil industry and to meet the needs of several local customers and others from neighboring countries. They are trained to ensure the availability of all different of bulk product, gasoil, super and jet A1 and lubricant on the local market to better meet the needs of our customers. The ribbon cutting of the new service stations of Balbala was done by the Minister of Energy in charge of Natural Resources, Younes Ali Gedi, accompanied by his colleagues, the Minister of Decentralization, Qasim Haroun Ali, in the presence of the General Manager of UCIG, Dr. Thomas Bebe. Also present, the President of the Commune of Balbala and local elected officials, civil authority and police. For his part, the director of hydrocarbon, Wahib Ali Bullo, said they are trying to ensure the availability of all different of bulk product, gasoil, supers, and jet A1 and lubricant on the local market to better meet the needs of our customers. The general directors of the company, UCIG, Dr. Thomas Bebe, said that UCIG Djibouti is a petroleum company operating in the Republic of Djibouti since 2013 with an overall mission is to promote its product while successfully providing a prompt and reliable quality services. We are honored today the participation of the two ministers at the ribbon cutting ceremony. For his part, the Minister of Energy in charge of Natural Resources, Younes Ali Gedi, said it's in short today it is an honor for me to preside the ribbon cutting ceremony of the two companies, NOC and UCIG, and it ensures the maintenance of competitiveness in the Djiboutian oil industry and to meet the needs of several local customers and others from neighboring countries. The Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, and his second in the command went early this morning. General Tahir Ali Mohammed went early this morning to the north of the country, more precisely to the outpost of Alayli Dada and Dagadileta, placed under the responsibility of the Inter-Armies Regiment of Obok, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Ilyas Omar Yusuf. This tribe of the Djibouti military authorities is part of a general campaign to raise awareness of the military and secure the defense mechanisms of outposts, which is based on a three-pronged policy strengthening the infrastructure of outposts, provision of additional mobility, defense, and human resources, improvement of intelligence and anticipation capabilities. The major objectives of the inspection of these posts is in line with the new doctrine 2022 and reorganizations of the Djiboutian army. The adoption is in his speech to raise awareness of the military, the Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, first referred to the former colonial regime of France and the independence of Djibouti in 1977, 46 years ago, he took this example to instill in the military the feeling of patriotism and remind them of the efforts and self-sacrifices led by our forefathers for our dear country. He recalled that the Egyptian blue, white, green flag united us all, that no enemy forces, no matter how numerous, could defeat us if we succeed in preserving this spirit of unity. It is this some cohesion that will allow us to ensure a serene futures for our children and to build a better futures for them. We must be aware of this reality. Each soldier has his share of responsibility, including that of preserving himself and the security of the barracks, protecting the local population, and defending the country against any intrusions, whatever the cost. The CMGA also specified that the whole Egyptian nation was closely following the heroic act of the Egyptian soldiers who are in the most remote areas of the country, far from their families, to ensure peace and security to the country. Following the increase of the fever cases, dengue, malaria, seasonal flu, according to the weekly epidemiological bulletins, the Ministry of Health through the National Institute of Public Health of Djibouti have initiated training course on how to deal with cases of fever in the different health structures of the country, such as referral hospitals, polyclinic, and different health structures. CMH of the region is today, December 19. A team from the National Institute of Public Health of Djibouti are in Obok. The team is composed of Dr. Ibrahim Muhammad Ibrahim, Technical Directors of the National Institute of Public Health, Dr. Yahya Ismail Ali, a medical biologist, Muhammad Ismail Dini, medical doctors, and epidemiologists and responsible for the epidemiological surveillance of the country. This training is intended for the chief doctors and others attending physicians of the region of Obok, the personal caregiver who are on the front lines to provide care. The objectives of the awareness and training of the healthcare personnel in the Obok region to update and uniform the steps of taking care of cases of dengue fever, influenza, raising awareness on the means of control such as antibacterial control, hygiene of life in general. The movement of the United and Indivisible Youth moved to the village of Daib to proceed to the operations of distribution of school kits, new clothes for children and adults, blankets, mosquito nets, mattresses, and rice to support this vulnerable population. This operation aims to promote solidarity through volunteerism to help the most vulnerable families, but also to promote the values of solidarity, mutual aid, and the values of our country. The president of the movement of youth, One and Indivisible, Mr. Ahmed Mogola, today to declare that we are happy to revive our traditional ceremonies of the operations of distribution of kits, which beyond the gestures of solidarity are a means of sensitizing our community on the schoolings of our child and values of our countries. Will end in the regions of Dakhil, and he thanked the prefect of Tajura region, Mr. Hassan Dabali Ahmed, and Ahmed Din Alayo, the inhabitant of the villages of that, for their warm welcomes. The population for the international scene in Nigeria. Nigeria's yam as precious commodity, poorly exported. Nigeria is the world's leading yam producer. Despite the important productions, the West African nations is nowhere on the list of countries that export the tuber. It is the fifth most widely grown crop in the countries, but it is also one of the most expensive in terms of investment. The planting and harvesting process are labors intensive. Some experts say that deliberate actions is needed to take yam production, processing, and marketing to the next level in line with the international best practices. According to the Nigerian Yam Traders Association, the government must work with the stakeholders to boost exports, wealth creation, and food security. Nigeria's agricultural sector employs about 16% of the workforces and contribute over 14% of the country's GDP. And to close up this edition, Jordan conference to try to defuse the Middle East crisis. Jordan hosted a meeting yesterday between France and representatives from the Middle East, including Iran and Saudi Arabia, in an attempt to defuse the worsening crisis in the region's political deadlock in Iraq, social anger in Jordan's protest movement in Iran. In an attempt to defuse the crisis in the region, Amman is hosting a meeting on Tuesday, 20 December, between France and representatives of the Middle East, including Iran and Saudi Arabia. The conference, Baghdad 2, is held on the shores of the Dead Sea after a first edition in the Iraqi capital in August 2022 at the initiative of the French President Emmanuel Macron and Iraq. A risky bet in a region still unstable. Iraq has just reached a fragile compromise after a year of political crisis. Syria remains a battleground between powers, and Lebanon is without a president, to name just a few of the regional crises. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.